Time again to get you hooked. Welcome inside another edition of the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. New episodes drop each week on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, you can rate and review us at the Stampede UT. Ton to get into. Arch Manning undergoes surgery. We'll tell you a little bit about what he underwent and what that means for what's happening for him for the next couple months. The Super Bowl is set. 4 Texas Longhorns will be playing in the Super Bowl or at least on the rosters of those Super Bowl teams. So we'll get into those guys and maybe the all 13 of the guys that were in the conference championship games, plus a little extra one that Coach Brown coached. We'll get into that, plus the college football playoff staying at 12 teams. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll get into all those things and more alongside Mack Brown and Vince Young. I'm Bob Ballou. We appreciate you joining us, and let's dive right in, guys, to the most important thing of the week, which was Vince Young playing golf at Pebble Beach. Man, how much fun was that? And how'd you play?
That's how you want to do me this morning?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Great way to start. You had fun. Hey, all you got to say is I had
dive
fun
into the
and played great.
topics. Let's just dive into the topics and get our job done. But it was great, man. That's not my first time there, but I had a really good time with the guys I played with. The Players Club is a great event that pretty much support a lot of old athletes that's trying to get their golf game right. And I had the opportunity to play with Tim Brown and Terrell Davis and Byron Chambers, like 2 Broncos. They had to leave on Sunday because today they went to the game. But to have opportunity to play with those guys and listen to them crack jokes and talk football all day. And Tim Brown actually can play pretty good. Terrell Davis can play really well. I was very surprised, but I had a really good time. Pebble Beach is beautiful. Spanish Bay and Spyglass is my best, but I'm honestly going to tell you, Pebble Beach kicked my butt.
Vince, I always say when people ask how I play, the course will grow back and nobody got hurt, so I'm
exactly.
good.
Because I know I beat up that grass.
Well, it grows
and
fast
I
out
donated.
there.
And I donated balls, Coach.
I said you might find some I left out there. We have a coaches tournament out there every year, so that's why I quit putting my name on them or initials. People say, "I found your ball." Thanks,
yeah.
And then
I think that was our.
What were you over there looking for? Why were you in the weeds? Well, my partner hit it over there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Our biggest fear was that Vince was going to show up and just hold up a ball that said MB on it when we started this podcast. So we're glad that didn't happen.
I was looking. I told my caddy, if you see an MB ball, please give it to me.
I'm surprised he didn't have one made just to bring it out there.
Right.
So
I ain't going to do my coach like that.
It would have been facts.
Well, there's nothing better than talking
Anybody's
golf.
Played golf with me knows I can lose them. So that's part of it.
I'm right
nothing
with
better
you.
Nothing better talking golf with these two guys and the fun courses you guys get to play. But look, we do want to dive into some football and Vince, I know you have a great perspective on Arch Manning and just everything that's going on with him. I mean, I want to start with the foot surgery. I know Texas called it a minor foot surgery. I don't think any surgery is ever minor, but but I know it wasn't something that was going to hold him back. He'll miss some, be limited.
Well,
in
you
off-season
understand what they're
workouts,
doing. They're just trying to keep everybody calm.
Yeah.
Because they would blow that up. Oh my God, Arch is done for the season, man. Shut up.
We got 8 months. He's going to be all right before we get to
exactly.
he's going to be all right for spring football too. So that that he's going to be a little limited in off-season workouts, but he'll be back for spring football. So that's good. But all that said, kind of this time of year when you get out of a season, Vince, what's the most important thing as a quarterback that you're trying to do? I mean, I know there's the leadership side of it too, but you've got to get healthy. You've got to get your mind right as you try to go into another season. What do you kind of look at from Arch's perspective of what he's going through right now?
Yeah, in that perspective, first of all, you want to do everything in your willpower just to get ahead in your books. This is the time that if you had if you came out of the first semester iffy, this is a time that you can really, get ahead in your books. A lot of people totally forget that you did go to the university to get an education. A lot of people be like, oh, no, I came here just for the money. But let me put it out there. Make sure you take your butt to class, guys, and get ahead in your books. And that was one of the things that I did in my off season because I wanted to get on the academic honor roll. One of the things that I did in high school, I made a mistake and started my ninth grade year not as well as I wanted to. So I had to go back in my senior year to take night classes and do a lot of stuff to get to the University of Texas. So it actually helped me learn that you can't just be a athletic student. You're a student athlete first. So when I got to Texas, my first year, I was very involved in making sure that I made this academic or honor roll, and I did. And I was proud of myself when I got that award on stage. Didn't think I was, because when you step on UT campus, you're dealing with the smartest kids in the world. And when I walked in that classroom and saw 300 students in one class, I was like, "Oh my god, how I'm finna compete with this?"
And how many did you have in high school?
In high
In a
school, we
class?
probably 20, 30
20.
people.
That's what I figured.
So, that taught me a lot about, being more, active as a student, understanding going to study hall, going to meet with your professors, meeting, with your peers, hanging out with them, just being a student first, and then go take care of your responsibility with the football. So, on that aspect, you know, Arch is doing that, he better be doing that, and then the surgery happens, and I can relate to that because I had a hernia surgery that I had to deal with, and it takes a lot away, because you gotta start rehabbing and trying to get back right, before the season start, but it also give these guys a time to kinda relax. Time management is very important. And these guys got to understand that your time is very valuable. You got to make sure you're doing everything the right way, being structured, have a schedule, and you got to live by that every day. If you fall off that that schedule or whatever it may be, your calendar, you can really hurt yourself in the off season. You can take a step back more than when you want to go forward. You want to meet with your coaches and say, "Hey, what I need to work on." One of the things that happened to me was I need to work on my short game. I was awful in my short game. And I was tired of hearing that. And I went and worked my butt off in the off season of making sure my three-step game was stronger than ever. And then helped my passing ratings go up. Learned the offense a little bit more, got more comfortable into the offense. And then I had to go work with my receivers and running backs and try to get our chemistry down. And one of the things that Arch has to do, he has some new guys coming in. And I really hope that he is talking to Coach Stark about things that what made him comfortable in the pocket, things that he felt really good about when coach called that play. He has to meet with coach about that a lot, and the, quarterback's coach, to make sure he's comfortable with, when those plays are being called, and it's gonna take some time, but this is the time to do it. Work on all your weaknesses, all the things that you felt like you didn't do well during the season. This is the time to do it now, because you don't have time to do that when the season start. This is the time. So I believe that is some of the things that the guys need to do and Arch needs to do. And then, one of the things that we talked about all the line was the Heisman stuff. Um, it's nothing you can deal with that. Coach Brown and John Bianco, those guys did a really good job of keeping that stuff away from me. And all I needed to do was focus on getting better as a quarterback. And not only just that, as well as a leader for my teammates. And then once you do that, I really feel like everything else just plays it out. Yes, I did a really good job in the Rose Bowl the first year against Michigan. The hoop, everything was the hoopla was coming all kind of ways, but one of the
We'll
things
be
that I yeah,
back.
exactly. One of the things that I enjoy
That kinda hooped it up.
was just to just stay away from that stuff, just focus on my teammates, focus on the off season, focus on things that I can control. And that's what I did. I took every day I woke up and just had that same system every day to get better and better and better. And I must have threw so many footballs till I probably threw up. And learning that, it helped me. It did help me. It helped my quarterback rating go up. I was more um, on my pre-snaps reads. I was more comfortable throwing to guys. We did a lot of that stuff in the off season, and when the season came around, I was very comfortable. So if I can tell Arch, just continue to keep working, man. And I really know he is, but just keep working, man, and be around your teammates, and build that chemistry that helps a lot as well.
And
And
Mac, I
Bob,
know you loved him
Arch has got
saying
a
that, right?
yes, no
Yeah.
no question, but they all that's real. And Vince had an easier job of pulling his teammates together and getting ready for Ohio State than Arch does, because Arch has got so many new teammates. We talked about that at the last show. Vince had his group. They were with him at Michigan. The incoming guys, we didn't have any transfers, and the incoming guys weren't going to play much because we had a great team coming back. Correct. So we had an older, great team. So Vince started immediately at the Michigan game, building that locker room, rebuilding that locker room for the few that we lost for next year. Arch has got to meet Cam Coleman. He got to take it. He got to, kind of like dating. You got to go meet these guys and get them over to the apartment, and you got to talk to them and get them all on the same page. And that's so cool. And I thought about this for Arch too, because I watched at one time, Vince and Cedric Benson were both up for the Heisman on the same team early in the year because they were that good. So that's something that John Bianco's managed. So he's had Colt, he's had Vince, he's had Ricky Williams in New York. So he knows how to handle this, and that's it. The Mannings have been through it because all of them have been a finalist for the Heisman. Archie in 1969-70, he was fourth in the Heisman, granddad. And they didn't even go to New York at that time. Then in 1997, everybody thought Peyton would win, and Peyton lost to Charles Woodson in the Heisman by about 300 votes. So he was really disappointed at that time. And at Tennessee, they didn't win the national championship either, where they thought they could and they would, and it just didn't work. And then 2003, Jason White won the Heisman, and Eli was third. And Eli had 710 votes, and Jason had 1,400. So about 700 different. So the Mannings have had it with the Heisman. They've been there. They know how to handle it. And they can say, you can have a great year and still not win it, just like Vince did. So don't worry about it. Go play your best. Go through your process. If they want to vote you in the Heisman, that's good, but you can't worry about it. It's just like you can't worry about winning the national championship. You got to be good enough. And that's the process you go through. So you've got new coaches. If you're Sark, you've got new coaches on defense, got to put in a whole new defense with some new defensive kids at linebacker and in the secondary. And then Ohio State just hired Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. He's with the Steelers. So they have two previous head coaches at Ohio State as defensive coordinator, Patricia, and offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. So now you got a new defensive coordinator, a new safeties coach, a new scheme, and you're going to play against a new scheme at Ohio State that you probably won't see much in their opening ball game. And then you look at what can we do better? Texas was 128th out of 136th in penalties. All right, why? What do we do? So you bring Vince in and say, Vince, we got to clean this up, man. You bring the offensive line in. They had 43 penalties. 25 of them false starts. I heard Sark say in preseason at practice, you cannot have a penalty before the whistle blows or after the whistle blows, or before the play starts or after the whistle blows. You cannot have false starts. 25 false starts. Holding penalties, 27 holding penalties.
A lot.
Offsides on defense. There were 14 penalties by the defensive ends, defensive line. 9 of them offsides. You should be on sides. So those are things that you can fix right now, today, as you get ready to beat Ohio State. If you don't fix them, you're probably not going to beat them. And that's where you have to have your urgency. And if you're in the playoffs, you're not as urgent as if you miss them, because everybody now is talking about what do we got to do to get back to the playoff. And at Texas, you're not trying to just get in the playoff. You're trying to win all the games.
Right.
And that's where we are.
You mentioned the penalties. It's the third straight year that they've had issues with penalties. So I think that's something that you would really want to focus on this offseason. I do think, you mentioned comfortable, Vince. You said that word a bunch about Arch. And I think.
And I'm sorry, Bob.
No, go ahead.
To add to that, that's not a coaching fault. That's a player.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to be accountable as a player. First of all, watch the ball. I just told you in the huddle, on 2, on 1. And what is you false starting on a clap anyway? Ain't they clapping, right? So that's got to be discipline. So a lot of times, to me, when I'm a leader of that team, I'm telling y'all, like, hey, man, this is not no coach's penalty right here. This is accountability of us. So I hope Arch and the rest of the leaders are in there, like, man, this is not coaching them job for us to stay on side or stuff that we can control. That's what I was saying earlier. These are the type of stuff that you have to work on as a player after you went over and talked to coach. What do I need to do better? Well, your ass needs to stop jumping outside.
And we
that's not
said
a
player-led teams, Vince, are
exactly.
more important.
So
So you can't say player-led team and then that not happen. Vince would be
correct.
on the offensive lineman.
Oh yeah, that's up downs and
He'd be
extra
all
runner
over him,
off
man.
top. We
You
doing
can't.
up downs and
We're
we
not having
running.
that.
Yeah, we're
I
not
wouldn't
having
have to
that.
speak.
Yeah, we're not having that. So sorry to cut
And
you off, Bob.
honestly, that'll help the offense in its entirety. That'll help Arch a whole lot too, because he doesn't have to worry about it if that's not happening. So I think that's a
Yeah.
big part of it
And
too.
you're not starting 1st and 15 all the time,
Right.
and then you wonder why you're bad on third downs. Well, because you're 3rd and 8, you're
Exactly.
3rd and 7 instead of 3rd and 3, simply because you couldn't wait till the ball was snapped.
And then I also want Arch to take initiative like we did, not saying that he has to, but whatever he feels comfortable with. When coach says third down situation at practice, I used to bring everybody up and say, hey, man, this is serious right here. Third down is going to help us win ball games as well as the defense. You get them off the field on third down, it makes our job so much easier. So I would like someone on that team to, when they say third down situation at practice, it needs to be focused and dialed in because that is a big down in football. So again, sorry about to cut you off right there, Bob.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
and
You're good.
Yeah, and
I thought it was.
Bob,
I
if I
thought it
could
was
say this,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, if I could say this about Vince too, and I'm sorry, we're both cutting you off.
But y'all are good.
No, we're excited because there's things that can be fixed.
Yeah.
Last year, Arch was an unknown with his team. He was first round draft choice predicted, Heisman predicted, but hadn't proven it. Now he's proven it. Vince, when he took Chance Mock's place, he was having to learn to be a leader and take over because he hadn't been the leader, because he wasn't the guy. Now Arch has been the guy for a year. So it's time for Arch to become the Vince, the Colt McCoy, the voice, the stay on sides. Can't hold, man.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. He's got to take over and be an aggressive leader.
You mentioned the Heisman Trophy. I'm not going to put undue pressure on it, but it is interesting that Archie finished 4th and Eli finished 3rd and Peyton finished 2nd because there's that one spot just leading right into it, isn't it? No, but I did think it was
media
interesting.
Pressure. There we go.
Hey, it was there last year. You don't have to worry about it anymore. VY mentioned the word comfortable, and I want to get into that for a second because it is really kind of a unique position that Arch is in. He's going into year 4 in the program. He's been in Sark's offense now for 3 years. He knows it. He's experienced it for a year. But he, we saw Quinn's development based on his growth in the program. There's no better thing than experience. I mean, once you get more and more experience, you're going to be better in that program. So now how do you guys look at what they did in the portal? Because now he's got the guys around him, and they probably will add some. I mean, again, there are 1,200 guys still in the portal, and you would think at some point, whether it's via injury or it's something else, that they will add somebody else, probably an offensive lineman as well. But we'll see. What do you like and what do you not like about what they did in the portal? Obviously, the skill positions are there. Do you think they got enough on the offensive line? Vince, how do you kind of view what Arch has going into his 4th season in the program, his 2nd year as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the notes and stuff that we have, I mean, being number 3 ranked in the portal right now, that means that you brought in some mature guys, as we can tell what just happened with Indiana, with Zanetti and the guys. They got older guys coming in, and you don't have to like a high school kid coming in. You got guys that had some reps in playing in the college football. So seeing the guys at the running back position, at the wideout position, even at the D line position, you got guys that's coming in that has played the game, right? So now it's all about, hey, do you understand, and how can we get you, especially the guys that's coming in, how can we get you into the offense or the defense comfortable as fast as we can? Hey, this is what we running 4-3. We running this odd over front on offense. We running this. How can we get the terminology down to the guys faster than the high school players, because they're going to play. The guys that's been already out there getting know what the flying bullets look like. When the snap of the ball comes, they know where to go. So being comfortable from that aspect, meaning that Art's comfortable as he knows the offense. He's been there, like you said, for a while. Now it's his team now. You don't have to look over your shoulders no more. You don't have to worry about Quinn anymore. Now this is your team. So what are you going to do to lead your guys? And the best way I can say this, it starts right now, like Coach just said. Going into the locker rooms and um, even throwing the ball at 707, getting extra routes in, being more leading more as an example of on the field and off the field. But like you said, he's been there for a while. This is his team now. It's time for you to be more mature and go in and say, "Hey, coach, I don't like that play. I don't want it. Throw it out."
God, Vince would do that.
And it took time for me to get, more mature and comfortable to go in and tell Coach Brown and Coach Davis that I didn't like that play anymore. Can we do more of this and more of that? And it showed my matureness, and it showed the respect that I have for my coaches. But they also, for them to see that when I got to my junior year, when we went to won the Rose Bowl, Coach Davis gave me more plays to change at the line of scrimmage, and he wouldn't have done that if he wouldn't have seen the matureness and the growth of me in the game, playing the game, getting better. And for him to do that, he put confidence. He had confidence in me. If we was in something, a bad play, he had the most confidence in me that I can get us out of it. And that's gonna take for Arch right now, going to meet with the coaching staff, while you going to class. "Hey, coach, on Tuesday and Thursday, is it possible for me to come in and we can watch some film together? Can we start talking about some things now?" So when it does get to spring, Arch is a little bit more comfortable when he calling a play that coach will let him be free. And when you get like that as a quarterback, to be more free to play the game and more comfortable, now your instincts and now all the stuff that we saw you in high school is starting to come in now. And that's what the coaches want. And that's what we want for him. And that's what I want for him, to be more mature and more comfortable. But to go in there and talk to your coaches right now and get all this stuff now so you can be working on it in the off season.
And I know Sark's
Bob,
comfortable with Arch. I think there's no question about
Yes.
that. But coach, how long does it take you to trust your quarterback to change things at the line, or to do, like what is that balance between I trust you, but you have to trust me too?
I was going to say, the more we got to know Vince, the more he won, the more we trusted him, but the more we learned who he was. And now Steve's got to call plays for Arch in his system because you trust him. You know what he's got. So we went from a Chris Sims and Major Applewhite offense to a Chance Mock offense to a Vince Young offense because we knew what Vince did best and what he liked the best and what he was most confident with. Also, this is the month where Arch may go in and put on that grease board. You want to beat Ohio State, man, show up at 7:00 tonight, because that's what Vince did. Vince started that stuff in the Rose Bowl after the Michigan game. Then it progressed each week as he was getting through. And I put these stats down. I looked at the portal classes right now. The way they ranked them yesterday was LSU first. Lane Kiffin always does a great job of getting them. They'll probably be in the playoff, or they'll be a team that's got to be reckoned with because you can get it fixed fast. And then you've got Texas Tech, playoff team. They were second. Then you've got Indiana, playoff team. They were third. Then you got Texas, fourth. Then you got Ohio State, fifth, playoff team. Then you've got Penn State, who we thought was going to be a playoff team. And then the coach changed, so they've got a whole lot of transfers. Then you've got Ole Miss, who was a playoff team. Then you got Kentucky, and Will Stein's done a great job of bringing in transfers. And then you got A&M, a playoff team. So unless you do well in the portal, it doesn't look like you're going to be a playoff team as you look at it. Two of the guys that are in the top 100 players in the country, the linebacker from Pittsburgh, Rasheem's 64th, and Cam Coleman's 10th in the portal. So those are great additions as you go. So what I thought, Bob, in looking at it, is running back Brown and Smothers looks like an upgrade. Looks like pluses as you go. Tight end, big blocking physical guy. Looks like you're going to run the ball more. The kid from Michigan State, 6'5", 260, takes Indris's place. Then you've got 4 offensive linemen. Look okay. I don't know that that's as strong a group on paper as what it looks like the others are. I mean, you've got a freshman from A&M that hasn't played. You've got a guy from Wake Forest that was a really good player that I saw. It looks like a guy that's okay from a young guy from Georgia, and another young guy, or a guy played some at Oregon State. So I don't see the dominance on numbers in that group that I see with all the other positions. But you got cornerbacks. We said you got 26 new ones coming in, like a Colin Simmons that could play, because those guys are talented that they brought in. And I think those are guys that can help immediately. But and the other thing I heard the other day, which made so much sense, with NIL, you're going to start seeing older teams. Sark had a young team last year. This team will be older, but because if he is a draft choice that's not in the first 2 rounds, he may get paid enough to come back. So older guys are going to come back.
Yeah.
Indiana had an old team. NIL is going to make people start having old teams that have money. If you have money, you've still got to coach, you've still got to develop, you still got to evaluate. If you don't have money, you're just see the new coach coming in and wish him good luck because you're about to get fired. That's the way the world is. They used to say it's 4 letters. When you get fired, leave 4 letters in the drawer for the new coach. After the first year, he loses and say, you need to get rid of your strength staff. You're not very strong. Second year, you pull up the second letter and it says, you need to get rid of both coordinators. You're just not making enough plays in the red zone. Third year, what do? Got to get rid of the academic staff. We got too many guys in trouble. Fourth year, what do? You read the letter and it says, write 4 letters for the new coach. You're fired. Sorry. So that's kind of what happens if you don't get it done.
Right. Yeah, and LSU, Auburn, and Florida State were all in the top 8 of the portal a year ago, and Brian Kelly, Hugh Freeze were fired. Mike Norvell still kept his job, but they went 5-7. So what do you think the biggest key is to getting your team where you need it to be in this 8-month span of bringing in 17 new players and losing 25? Like, what are some of the biggest things you can do to get your program ready?
If I was Coach Stark, all that information Coach Brown just said, I would bring in my quarterback and give him that information, or bring in all my leaders at those key positions. Tell them, especially the offensive line, make them feel so bad. We was the worst rushing team ever in UT history. You know, when you tell an offensive line something like that, you know how they take that? If you tell Casey Stutter and Lyle Sinline that they was the worst, you know what they gonna do? They finna go to work.
Somebody gonna get beaten up.
Somebody might get beaten up. So if I was coach, I would put it on the players. You know, it's so much you can do. Coach Brown and Coach Davis and the rest of the coaching staff can do. But one of the things that coaching was great at, they put that pressure on us. And it was for us as leaders to, hey, when coach them leave out of the team meeting room or whatever it may be, it's our job to bring us all together and say, hey, man, did you just hear what coach just said? We sucked at running business. We was horrible in penalties. We was bad in the red zone. And when you hear these things and you know that you were right there, because I know Arch and some of those guys was on that team when they lost to Washington State, when they lost to Georgia. That taste in your mouth is a bad taste, right? So what do we do as players right now in the offseason that can fix that? So for me, I'm listening to coach and taking notes and saying, hey, leaders, go into every position room and we need to write these things on the board. This is what we did bad at. So when we hear this during practice and off season and spring practice and all these things, this is what we need to work our butt off, because the fact we did do good in some other things, but these key things right here will make you lose a football game. So I put the pressure on us as players, as the players of the leaders, to go in each room to dedicate our off season to those things that we know that's facts. That's why we lost football games.
And then we started doing NOSs, which is not our standard. So if you messed up, you had to do an up down with the entire team, but you had to go out and say, I had a false start, not our standards, up down. And if you had 10 of them, if you had 6 of them, those guys after practice were tired anyway. It wasn't going to go well in that locker room when you go in, because that's exactly what Vince said. These are where you don't discuss all this publicly. You don't embarrass your players publicly. You don't call them out publicly in their own place. Now you call them out. And we were really hard on these guys, and they responded, and that's why we won. The other thing, Bob, you mentioned Florida State, Auburn, and LSU. What's similarities in those 3 teams? They didn't have great quarterback play. Texas has got that. So they've got a head start. If you don't have a great quarterback now, you're not going to win games. Just look at the end at Oregon, Ole Miss, Indiana, and Miami. They're 4 of the best quarterbacks in the country. So if you look at Nessmeyer, was supposed to be a great quarterback, got hurt. So it didn't work for him. Castellanos came in from Boston College to Florida State. It's okay. And
beat Alabama. Beats Alabama,
beat
off
Alabama
the top,
and
then they can't respond after that.
That's the worst thing you could do. Should have quit. All should have said, okay, great year. Thank you. God, this is wonderful. We're through. And then I guess Jackson Arnold was the quarterback that transferred from Oklahoma to Auburn, and that didn't work. Might not have been the kid's fault, but it didn't work. So you've got to get the right guys, but you got to have the guy that touches the ball every time on offense. And if you don't have a quarterback modern day, all these other things do not matter. You'll still get fired.
Well, we've talked so much about Arch Manning. Coach, you obviously had a great quarterback at North Carolina in Drake Maye. We're going to get into that in our next segment as we talk a little NFL. We'll talk Drake Maye, and then we'll talk a little what the Longhorns did in the conference championship games. 13 of them in those conference championship games. We'll get into that when we come back. This is The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Back after this. Texas has some of the highest property taxes in the country, and if you're a property owner like we are, you know it hits harder than a blindside sack. That's why every winning season starts with the right playbook. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Protax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. They're the #1 defense against soaring tax bills, the kind of defense that stuffs rising values at the line and sends them back to the locker room.
Do your homework before you just let any firm suit up for you. I've looked at the stats, and Texas Protax doesn't just win, they dominate.
We're talking big gains, deep passes, and the kind of tax-saving drives that make your wallet do a victory dance. While the other firms are warming the bench, Texas Protax is driving the field, breaking tackles, and putting up game-changing Texas-sized tax savings.
Stampede listeners, your minimum fee is waived. No flags, no fumbles.
Visit TexasProtax.com, sign up and enter code STAMPEDE to join the winning team, and finally put your property taxes on the bench. College football not feeling as juicy as it once did? Let me put you onto something that'll shake up your Saturday and every other day of the week. Because now that Wendy's has crispy chicken tendies and a powerhouse lineup of new sauces, it's time you transferred to the hottest team in the league.
That's right, Team Tendies. Wendy's Tendies. They're making their undeniable rookie season one for the books. Enjoy first-string flavor from some 5-star recruits. Rep your own new favorite team everywhere you go, but make sure to cheer with your mouth closed.
Take it to the end zone of savory sauces like honey barbecue, creamy ranch, and the new Wendy's signature sauce to experience a total taste bud blitz of flavor. It's time to join a team that won't upset you with an upset. Taste the phenom that's gracing the gridiron with its juicy, crispy, and tendery tendencies.
Don't fumble the bag. Commit to Team Tendies and call the most delicious plays in the playbook. All right, huddle up. Tendies on 3. Tendies on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tendies. Let's do this.
Wendy's Chicken Tendies, now at participating U.S. Wendy's. All right, welcome back to The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We always appreciate you listening. Rate and review us at The Stampede UT anywhere on social media, and you can get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. It is time for our newest segment, Texas Protax Pros. When it comes to lowering your property taxes, Texas Protax has been calling winning plays for 38 seasons. As a Stampede listener, when you sign up at Texas Protax, your minimum fee will be waived. Just visit texasprotax.com, sign up and enter the code STAMPEDE to join the winning team and put your property taxes on the bench. Vince, it was championship weekend last weekend, 13 Longhorns on the rosters of these teams, 6 of them in Denver. What stood out to you the most about these guys? I mean, there were so many different angles you could take. I mean, Brendan Schooler continues to kill it on special teams for the Patriots.
Right?
Michael Dixon, 5 punts, all 5 downed inside the 20 for the Seahawks. Those are game-changing plays. Byron Murphy had a great year, obviously. What did you make? What were some of your biggest takeaways from the Texas guys over the weekend?
Well, I mean, you can go back to why Dixon is one of the top punters in the NFL. The one he kicked and the guy muffed it is because he got that Australia that kick in, and he's been doing it since Texas, right?
Yeah.
Making it hard for punt returners to catch the ball. And you know why he is one of the best punters in the NFL is because of that reason right there. And it showed live on TV. So congrats to, Dickinson, man. And then he got the new tattoo with the sleeve. I'm like, look at this guy growing up and starting to become a whole all around guy. But I was proud of each and last. Murphy, like you said, he continued to be making plays in the backfield for losses. Like you said, Schooler, and I mean, just to read his information, the things that he's doing for New England on the special team side, and the people out there in the world, these players, these young guys out there. If you don't think that you can't make a team by special teams, this is a prime example right here. We always need somebody make a play, punt a ball, kick a. We need those guys. That's
Yeah.
why it's important. If you don't make the other positions, go fight for another job on the special teams side of the ball because special teams is very important.
No doubt. Vince, this is the 20th time in the last 21 years that a Texas Longhorn will take the field for the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's pretty
so
amazing.
All the people doubting us, we
That's-
doing what we do for 20 plus years, baby.
And hey, listen, of those 4 guys, we just mentioned, Byron Murphy's had a great year, and Dixon and Schooler. Quandre Diggs is on that practice squad for Seattle, and Quandre's, people sometimes are like, oh, should practice squad guys? What are they? Listen, he's had a big impact on that franchise for a long time.
Period.
And I know they love to have him back there. So there are 4 guys that are on the rosters for the Super Bowl. But my question to you is, should the Broncos have maybe made a change and maybe they would be in the Super Bowl had they thought about it? I know Texas fans love to dream about this one, and I know you do too.
Yeah, shout out to my man Quandre Diggs, man. He's been doing it for a long time. And he's been coming downhill and hitting you too. For that height, for a guy to hit you like that, it's just to show you that he don't care. It's all about who gonna bring the speed and the impact and make a play. So shout out to Quandre Diggs for a great long career that he has had. And now you get an opportunity to finish with a Super Bowl. And I know he's very happy about that. But on the other end, with the weather like it was for New England and Denver, wow. One of the first things you learn as a quarterback when you go to step on the university campus is how to get on a fumble ball. And then Coach Davis and Coach Brown can know what I'm talking about. That's the first thing you learn. But one of the things that I did like about uh, New England, Mays, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. With the conditions, he turned into not as a quarterback, he turned into a running back. And you didn't see that from Denver, and I would like to see that they would have had a little package for my guy Sam to come in and do some things with the running attack, and then bringing that defense up to try to attack him, and he can just throw a little touch pass. Because in those type of conditions, it's tough to play in that. And shout out to Mays for just doing what he's supposed to do, using his legs and not making mistakes, and that's why I feel like them guys won the game. But it was great to see, and yes, it is a tough situation to play in that type of atmosphere as one as that condition as well. So I'm happy for Big Mays for finishing the game and taking his team to the Super Bowl, as well as Sam too. Sam Darnold too.
Yeah. Listen,
He's been mistake free too as well.
And Sam's a guy. He has a great story. I mean, he decided to stick in Denver Indianapolis had that opening when they brought in Phillip Rivers, and they wanted to bring him back, and he decided to stay on the practice squad in Denver. And then it turned out he was the backup quarterback, one play away from going in the AFC Championship game. And you do wonder in those conditions if it would have made sense to bring Sam Ehlinger in. He's more mobile. He can do some of those things. I get why you don't. But maybe in those conditions you decide to make a change. But hey, what a year for those guys in Denver. Jahdae Barron, PJ Locke, Brandon Jones, Lil Jordan Humphrey, your guy. I know you love Lil Jordan.
Malcolm Roach,
Malcolm Roach was great. I mean, they really it's 6 guys in Denver. It's pretty remarkable. And the same thing with the Rams. It was, Jordan Whittington and Poona Ford were just fantastic.
Oh man, Poona Ford was chasing the quarterback all day.
Yeah,
I just seen that big 95 was coming. So I'm happy for all those guys. I'm happy for all those guys because again, these guys were being underdogs, and it was saying that they wasn't going to be special on the next level, and to see them in the semifinals and still fighting it and being underdogs and letting people know I deserve to be here is very important, and I'm happy for those guys. I'm very happy for them.
It'll be fun to see maybe 4, but likely 3 guys play in the Super Bowl, and Quandre Diggs still on that roster in Seattle, so pretty special for those 4 guys. As always, you can win big savings on your property taxes with Texas Protax. Sign up and use code STAMPEDE. That's at texasprotax.com. And as we welcome Coach Brown back in, Coach, Vince obviously talked about it right there with Drake Maye, but how excited were you? I mean, to do this as soon as he's doing it and get to a Super Bowl as soon as he's done it is pretty amazing. But what is it about Drake Maye that you noticed that he kind of had that it factor? When did you see that?
I knew his dad. His dad coached or played at North Carolina, was a graduate assistant for me in my first year at North Carolina. And he played a little bit with Tampa Bay and then some semi-pro ball. His mother was a great basketball player in high school. But his older brother, Luke, won a national championship in basketball at North Carolina. Second oldest brother, Cole, won a national championship in baseball as a pitcher at Florida. His third brother, older than him, Bo, was a basketball player at North Carolina, hurt his knee, coached there. Now he's a head coach at Hogue High School in Charlotte with his dad. So Drake grew up in a family of older brothers that beat him up. They competed with him every day. They always talked about their rings. They'd throw it in his face. We actually played Clemson. We won the division championship and played Clemson for the conference championship, and he was going to get that ring and didn't get it at that point. So I know that in that family right now, Drake is saying, I need to get a bigger ring than any of you got so I can put it right in your face. But they compete in pickleball. They compete in golf, basketball. It's just like a bunch of brothers walking out in the back. And Coach Royal said to win all the games, you got to have it. Vince has got it. When Vince walks in a room, everybody stops and turns, and they want to talk to Vince. They want to go see Vince. They want to get pictures with Vince. Same with Drake. Drake's 6'5". He like Vince. He's very nice. He's very polite. He's going to stop and talk to everybody. He's got tremendous faith. He's very humble. He's always going to deflect the attention and give it to somebody else, but he is going to compete as hard as he can to win it every time. I walked in the players' lounge one time, and all the players were standing around. There was a broken paddle on the ping pong table. I said, "What's that?" They all pointed at Drake. I said, "Drake?" And he said, "Tight end beat me, coach. I couldn't handle it, man. The tight end beat me." And that's just the way the Vince Youngs of the world and the Colt McCoys and the Drake Mayes compete. He's 23 years old.
Right.
He only played 2 years in college for us. He was redshirted when Sam Howell played the first year. I thought if we could come up with $40 million of NIL money, we probably could have kept him. But that was going to be tough. So he will be the second youngest quarterback to ever play in a Super Bowl. Dan Marino was the youngest. Dan didn't win. So if the Patriots win the Super Bowl, he'll be the youngest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl.
Good for him.
That's wild. How
he
much
can handle it.
How much? How much?
Special.
Yeah, no doubt. How much did you?
Especially the pressure going out to playing for the Patriots and the history of Tom Brady and going in and leading that team to a Super Bowl. Oh man, I have tremendous respect for Drake Maye. So congrats, big guy.
And think how hard it is to get there. How hard we've talked about Vince Young won the last national championship in 55 years at Texas. We've had Vince. We've had Chris Sims. We've had Colt McCoy. We've had all these guys play in the NFL. It is hard to get to that last game, and it's harder to even win it, like a national championship.
And Drake Maye is the first North Carolina quarterback to start a Super Bowl, the same way Sam Darnold is the first USC quarterback to start a Super Bowl, which is wild to think about the history of USC
and Chaz
quarterbacks.
Surratt, one of our linebackers is from North Carolina, is on the Seahawks. He's a special teams player and a backup linebacker. And Amari Gaynor, one of our other players, is on the practice squad, like Quandary is at Seattle. He's on the practice squad with the Patriots. So great experience for these guys, and very proud of them.
Coach, did you bring up your...
People ask me, Bob, do you pull for pro teams? I pull for pro guys.
Yeah.
You're right.
I pull for our guys. I don't care about the teams, but I want our guys to be successful, stay as long as they can, stay healthy, and have a little money and a little life for their family when they get out.
Did you used to bring up your old quarterbacks with your current quarterbacks? Like if you had a Drake Maye, would you bring up something about Vince that you'd like to see, maybe personality-wise or football-wise or whatever it was? Would you do that with Vince, with talking about Chris or Major or even people before that? Was that something you ever did?
I did, but even more at North Carolina with Sam Howell and with Drake, I would have them talk to Vince or talk to Colt and just talk about handling the pressure, because there's more pressure at Texas than there has been at North Carolina. And Drake was the National Player of the Year. He was the National Freshman of the Year. And he's so humble. I said, when you become National Player of the Year, you put your name in the inner circle in the stadium. And he said, Coach, I don't want my name out there till I get through playing. It'd be very uncomfortable for me to have my name up and the players not have theirs. Senior day, I said, you need to walk on senior day because you're not coming back. And he said, I didn't graduate. Senior day is for those that graduate, Coach. I'm not going to walk out there without my degree. I'll come back and get my degree in time. So this guy's raised right. He married. He's kind of like Vince and Candace. He married his 7th grade girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
He's never dated anybody else. Those two hung out together for many years.
Right.
And she's a superstar now in her baking too, as she's gotten her own line of food going there for the offensive linemen. She's online now, and it's fun to watch Ann Michael. But it's a great family. Mark and Amy should write a book on how to raise families, because they've got 4 great boys, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Pretty similar to the Mannings, as they've raised a pretty good family too with Peyton and Eli, and now we see what Cooper's done with Arch. It's a pretty special family. All right,
Very similar.
The college football playoff is going to stay at 12 teams. We'll get into why that is good or bad, plus a little bit more on college football. That's all coming up. This is the Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We're back right after this. From Longhorns to startups, Branded Bills has you covered. Whether you're repping burnt orange pride or building a brand of your own, nothing tells your story like a custom hat. Branded Bills is a proud sponsor of Texas Athletics with licensed Longhorn headwear that holds up from the tailgate to the stadium and through the celebration.
Bob, don't forget the sidelines and the golf course too.
You know it, Coach. You have to look good to play good.
But Branded Bills doesn't stop there. They specialize in custom headwear that helps teams, companies, and communities showcase who they are with premium fit, finish, and style.
So whether you're a Longhorn fan, a business founder, or just someone who wants to stand out, check out Branded Bills just like mine.
Explore their officially licensed UT collection or design your own custom hat built just for you. Branded Bills, from Longhorns to startups, licensed pride, custom style. All right, final segment of the Stampede alongside Mack Brown and Vince Young. I'm Bob Ballou. Sometimes I wish you guys could hear what we talk about in the commercial breaks, but we're here anyway. Hey, thank you guys.
We might do another one for you.
Always for listening. Rate and review us anytime at the Stampede UT and get this podcast anywhere you get your podcast. We're going to talk a little college football playoff and then get into tampering and some of the other things that are going on in across all of collegiate sports right now. But let's start with the college football playoff. They do decide to keep it to 12 teams as we go into 2026, and it's just a one-year thing, and then they can readjust. But the changes this year, the auto bids will go to the Power 4 champions. So as an example, Duke would have been in the playoff this year instead of James Madison. And then if Notre Dame's in the top 12, they're going to get an automatic bid. Still wonder how that worked out. But Notre Dame would have gotten in over Miami this year. Obviously, Miami went to the national championship. So what do you guys think about sticking with the current format for one more year, Vince?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I spoke about this early during the year. I mean, first of all, stop. I mean, let's stick to something, and let's stick for at least 2 or 3 years, okay? Because I understand that, with all the language and this team's supposed to be there and the fans saying this. I get it. I get it. We get it. But in the same time, when we're going to vote on something and we're going to move forward on it, let's at least stick with it for at least 2 or 3 years. Let's not get to a point that every year we got to change. We're going to change. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So if we're going to do that, that's what they're going to do. I'm happy that they're going to stay with 12 and then give you some more time to figure out some other things behind the scenes to make this the following years when if they do expand it, that at least you have some more better structure and more commitment to whatever it may be. If that's TV money, whatever it is, understanding like how we talked about the bowl games. Sometimes these games are not even matter no more. Some of the bigger bowl games, yes, as long as you get all that stuff, what we just talked about last week with Damaris, like getting the schedule and the structure down, and let's just stick with it. I'm so um ready for that because of the fact that's what's needed in the college football right now. So I like that they stayed another year, and it makes teams fight a little bit harder now. If you want to go to these playoffs, do what you're supposed to do to win to get there and stop complaining.
I thought that with James Madison and Tulane getting in this year, they might make drastic changes. I think maybe saying the Power Four champions automatically get in solves that issue, so you probably won't have two G5 teams in going to next year. But
Yeah.
part of this comes, the reason they didn't make the change for some part of it is that the Big Ten wants a 24-team playoff, and the SEC still wants that 16-team format. Coach, do you have a preference as this continues to move forward? It's probably not going to go backwards and go back to 2 or 4 at any time. So what is your preference? What number do you like?
Well, Bob, I agree with Vince that I'm glad we have it another year because we changed to NIL too quickly. Let the toothpaste get out of the tube. You can't get it back in. We changed to transfer portal and NIL combined together is a disaster. We didn't think about the consequences. So if we had just changed to a 24-team playoff, what happens to the championship games? What happens to the buys? Do we move the season back? There's a lot of things that need to be talked about. Player safety. How many games can they play? Let's look at FCS. Let's look at NFL. Let's look at what's proven before we start just jumping out and saying we need to change. I do like the change with the 4 champions in, but now you've got to go back. What could the ACC have done to have Miami be the champion if they were the best team? What happens to that tiebreaker? Why did that not work out? You got to look at it. And I would like, as I've said repeatedly, I'd like for Tulane and James Madison to be out. So Notre Dame could have been in, Texas could have been in, Vandy could have been in. Like we said, you'd have Ole Miss playing Notre Dame. You'd have Oregon playing Texas. That would have been really cool because the playoffs are really cool. College football is a mess, but there's never been more interest in the playoffs because they're what we all want, what we're headed to.
That was the point of all
so
this,
I
right?
think at some point
to get those games. That was the point.
It is. And at some point, I think we'll get to 16. We got to figure out championship games. We got to figure out bowl games. We got to figure out buys. We got to figure out playing the group of 5. I would still love to see group of 5 have their own championship. I think it's best for them. I think it's best for everybody. But to do that, we've got to move forward and be strong. But I agree with Vince that until we can figure out what we need to fix with a 12 game, we don't need to be going to 16 with a lot of things that need to change before the 16 makes any sense. And then 2024, I can't even imagine right now. I'd have to look and see who would have been in. Are there 24 teams that deserve to be in? And with the differential in college football right now in the money, when you're looking at it, it's really interesting because some of these things are just absolutely crazy. It's a consolidation of power. because the ones with the most money that are doing the best job are the ones that are going to be in the playoffs, and there's not 24 of them.
Hmm.
So that's what you've got to look at, or there's maybe 16, because we would have been close to 16 last year with the way it worked out. But I do applaud the committee for changing the mistake that was made to put 2 group of 5 teams in. And that's admitting a mistake. And really, you learn more from losing, but you've got to be strong enough with your conviction when you see something's not working to stand up and publicly change it. And that's what they did. And I applaud them for that.
And you mentioned
And that's in everything. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's with all the stuff that's going on right now. Somebody has to take accountability that they messed up, right? So for you to do that, that's already respect.
Yeah,
But
and
in
who
the same,
cares? Who cares,
yeah,
Vince?
yeah,
I messed up. I mess up every day. If you're making decisions, you're going to mess up.
exactly. And live with it
The great leaders, then they fix them.
and fix it.
And you mentioned that 2014 playoff, that would likely be like the FCS model where there are 8 byes and then you play the home games on campuses for those other 8 games with those 16 teams. Speaking back on the Notre Dame issue, where do you guys stand on this? How did this happen? I know, Mack, you said you didn't even know about it, that Notre Dame gets in if they're in the top 12. Does that part of this feel very wrong to y'all? Like, especially with the schedule they're going to play, like, does it just doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, it does for your Notre Dame. Yeah. and Notre Dame's always seem to get advantages because I love Marcus Freeman. I understood, Vince would understand this better than any listeners out there. If your captains come to you after you're not in the playoffs and say, I don't want to play in a bowl game, and our team doesn't want to play in a bowl game, it's really, really hard to say, okay, you have to. I mean, that's not fair. And then they go lay an egg, they go stink. And everybody says, God, I can't believe they weren't interested. They told you, they said, we don't want to go.
Right.
So you can't go. So I thought Marcus did what he should have done there. But I looked at their schedule next year. There's only a couple of teams on that schedule that could possibly beat them. So they're going to be in the top 12. And I'm sure they didn't tell us. I was in the ACC, and there's an association with Notre Dame, the ACC. They didn't even tell us then. So it's what a great advantage for them in recruiting. It's a great advantage for them in every way because they should be in the playoff every year because Notre Dame's going to be a top 12 team every year. And that's just the way it is. And they just dropped USC. That game's going away because of conference affiliations and different things. I saw the other day, and maybe it was just rumor that they're considering dropping Miami from the schedule. So I mean, it's another dilemma that needs to be looked at.
I mean, if you knew you were going to be in the top 12 to get in, why would you play any of those games? Because if you know you can go 12-0 or 11-1 and get in the playoff, you might as well do it.
I credit Notre Dame because their leadership, their schedule, everything fits. We've talked about with the SEC going to 9 games, can you still play Ohio State if you're Texas? Is that smart? Because did it get Sark out of the playoffs this year because he went on the road in the first game with a really young team to play the number 1 team in the country and got absolutely nothing for it except everybody loved it going into the game and everybody loved the trip. But everybody's going to look at what gets you in the playoff to give you a chance to win the national championship. That's where college football's headed. And if it doesn't do those 2 things, then you're not going to do it. So because it's popular to play Michigan and Ohio State in your non-conference schedule, if it hurts your end goal, don't do it. Don't do it. We all love those games. And those games are exciting. Not if it keeps you, not if you lose. And if Vince had lost Ohio State, we wouldn't have won the national championship. That's how bad it was even with the BCS. It was still the same back then. You just have a chance now to overcome that loss and get back. Back then, you didn't. You're out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to a great Ohio State team that we beat in Columbus that night, 25-22.
Well, I think it's always fun to talk about the football side of things and some of the decisions that are made on the playoff, because that's the fun stuff. I think the ugly side of college football now comes with what we call the wonderful world of tampering litigation. Um, Vince, we had a great conversation last week with DeMaurice Smith and Sean Abood, and we went into so many different topics. But even since in just the last week, there have been 4 or 5 stories that are just wildly outlandish compared to anything we've ever seen in college football or even college basketball with the Charles Bediako situation at Alabama. What frustrates you the most as someone who just loves this sport, seeing what's going on right now?
Well, my first thing is seeing a baby get sued by a university. That is ridiculous. This kid he made a mistake because there's people is in his ear, told him this what he should do. He didn't get proper information. Just what Sean Abu just said. Proper information would have helped that kid make a better decision and choice with that decision. But to go through a situation to get fired, I mean, to get sued as a
Hmm.
baby, that is hard. That is again what Coach said about mental health. And you never know what that's going to do for that kid of going through that type of adversity at that age, at that young. So that was one of my things that really upsetted me, um, because these kids got to go through these situations because of the decision choices they making with somebody in their ear, helping them do it. But that's tough for me to see a kid that age get sued by a university and he just want to play football. Secondly, all the mess that's going on it is getting. I mean, I think we text middle of the night all the time. Here's another topic, and it's funny because to us that we are seeing Coach Brown on top of things, giving us the information as well as our team as well. But to see these type of topics going on in college, wow, this is supposed to be the fun time of your life as a kid, and to play the game that you love, and you're dealing with these type of situations as you are mostly as a pro now. You can see yourself doing this stuff on the next level, and you try to keep yourself away from that type of stuff. But to see that on a college level to me, is taking what we love out of the game. And I love watching college football, not just University of Texas. I love seeing these kids being successful to get to the next level, what they've been working their butt off. And right now, it's so messed up and the horrible for a kid and a parent. I just feel bad for them, and it needs to get corrected ASAP before, like we was talking about last week. It might don't even have to do a. You know how we did a NFL lockout in the NFL? It's going to be a college lockout. That's what it looked like. It's going to have. We're going to have to take a step back, have a no season in college. Really, it's absurd. It's crazy to even think like this, but to take a step back for the players and for them to get it organized before that they need to continue to have college sports because it's diluting the college football that I mean with all college sports is looking really bad right now. So that's my two things that is really as a player standpoint to see these kids going through this mess just to go to college and have fun and play sports that they really
And I
love.
think the wild thing about it is everybody's mad about it Sunday through Friday. But Saturday on game day, everybody just loves the games. And I think there's like a weird balance in all of this of what's going on there. Coach, obviously you dealt with a ton of tampering in your time at North Carolina. And I'm sure some of this stuff even extends back to your time at Texas, your first stint at North Carolina. Some of this stuff is has been going on in college football forever. Um, do you have great frustration right now seeing Dabo, for instance, with what happened with his linebacker and then going to Ole Miss and him coming out publicly and saying all these things, the Darian Mensah situation where Miami is his expected destination and they're having to go after him for leaving the school after he promised to be there. How great is your frustration with all this?
It's at a high level. I'm a very good friend of Dabo's, have been forever. Um, and I feel his pain. He's got a player that's in school that's working out with his team in team meetings that leaves. I mean, you can't make it up. Now, I'm like Vince. I hate it for that kid. He's got to feel awful. I hate it for the young quarterback at Duke. He leaves Tulane. He has to go back and play Tulane. He wins a conference championship at Duke. And then he won the conference championship at Tulane. Now he goes to Miami, and he's going to have to go back and play Duke. That's a tremendous amount of pressure. So I don't blame the kids. I blame the system. I blame the agents around them. And we're probably going to have to get into antitrust. We're going to have to get into collective bargaining. So there is a contract that you can't get out of. What's a contract worth if you can just walk out of it?
Right.
It's not worth anything. So they're going to start treating them like coaches, and you're going to have a buyout, or you can't leave. And these kids are leaving now and getting in school late. We're not talking about education. We're not talking about anything. I read this the other day. Bobby Knight was a dear friend of mine, and I loved him. And he had his bad days too. As we all remember, he threw a chair and a few other things. He said this, which has not changed. Everybody doesn't cheat, which is so true. There's some really good people out there that are being pressed to cheat right now because they're not going to be able to compete in this business unless they cheat. And that's a very, very difficult thing. Everybody doesn't cheat, but a lot of people out there don't give a damn. Until the president of universities all get together and say, we have to do something. Until that, nothing will happen. And I think that's so true. Why don't we all get together and say it is out of control? We say Wild Wild West. It's worse than that.
All right.
It's big money. And we're dealing with kids' lives. And we're messing them up. And I'm sure Ole Miss is proud they got the linebacker. And Dabo did what I would have done. He called them out. Some people say, is there a coach's code? There used to be. There's no loyalty left. They're firing coaches too quickly. Coaches are making too much money. So that loyalty, the old loyalty of me calling a coach and saying, hey, back off, man. You know better than that. What are you doing? Those days are gone. So like Vince, until we get better contracts, a better system, kids can't transfer as easily. How in the world can you be in school somewhere, working out with a team, and then transfer? I mean, how does that happen? Going to class.
Right.
You used to have to lay out a year. Sometimes you had to lay out 2 years. When I left Vanderbilt to go to the Big 12 or the SEC, Big 8 at that time, you had to lay out 2 years. Or the ACC. I had to go independent, and that's why I went to Florida State, because that's the only, I could only go to an independent school and play after being out for a year. So NIL's out of control, but what are these contracts worth? We should all have contracts that hold these kids accountable to what they say they're going to do, or they're not worth anything. Why sign them?
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is, when that kid make that decision and then he has to come back, now he's in the doghouse with the coach. And that's another deal. Like, once you get in the doghouse with a coach, you're not playing again.
No, that's hard. And he may not even mean it that way, but he gonna
exactly.
be bad.
He didn't even mean it like that. And now he got to deal with that for the rest of his life. So it's like, man, this is bad for the for the coaches, players. It is just really bad, because these people are working their butt off and doing everything that's being asked, and now because of the system is so jacked up, now people are being in a position to look really bad in the media, and I don't like it, because again, coach, like Coach just said, Dabo, he's a really good coach. I hung out with him in Bahamas, this great guy, and now you got to deal with this mess, man.
And
And like I said, I had a credible coach call me yesterday that's friends with myself and Dabo and say, even the honest guys are shaking their head down and say, you know what, we're going to have to tamper, or we're not going to have jobs.
Right.
So that's just where we are and where we're going. And then the coach at Alabama in basketball, playing a guy who went to the NBA draft. He's coming back. If the courts say he can play, I got in that dilemma with Tez Walker. Tez Walker because the Attorney General of North Carolina stood up and threatened to sue the NCAA. The NCAA says, okay, you're eligible after they turned him down 3 times. If we hadn't fought for that young man, he could have gotten hurt the next year. He might not have finished school. He was depressed at the time all this was going on. He's now playing for the Ravens and has a pro career. Changed his life completely. So you're in a bind as a coach. Do you stand up for the guy to play when the NCAA says he can't, but your university says he can, and your court system says he can? How do you keep him from playing? That puts you in a very difficult spot if you are what you say you are and say, I'm going to stand up for the players. I'm going to do what's best for them. That's what had Duke in a bind with Mensah. How does Duke force him to stay and then hug his neck knowing he didn't want to stay? And how does it work in that locker room? It's just like I said, Bob, the analogy, your wife leaves you, she goes to another guy, but the guy can't marry her, so then she comes back. Hey, honey.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to be here. That's what Vince said, welcoming that guy back in the locker room when all the guys knew he wanted to be against him.
Right.
It puts you in a very difficult spot.
And I would say,
and everybody's got to have a quarterback. So that's
Right.
the other thing we said. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win.
Right.
Now Duke's struggling to get a quarterback.
and it gives these, I would say it gives these players a skewed reality of what life's going to be like. But sometimes maybe it doesn't. I mean, maybe some of these lessons are sadly ones they're going to learn now and they'll keep with them forever. So we'll keep talking about this. Obviously I genuinely encourage you, if you did not listen to our podcast last week with DeMaurice Smith and Sean Aboud, there was so much good information in there, especially for parents. So if you get a chance, go back and listen to that one. That was a blast. This one was a blast too. Always good to see you guys. Stay safe with the ice and everything going on in Texas. And I know we'll be in person again soon, but always appreciate you guys, and let's do it again next week. That's Mack Brown. That's Vince Young. I'm Bob Ballou. We appreciate you joining and listening to this edition of The Stampede, a podcast on the Texas Longhorns. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one, everybody.